guys, welcome back to the channel. Before we get started, please hit like, share, and subscribe, and leave your comments down below. But it's wartime. It is wartime. It is about unrest, and let's get into this, guys, because it's going down. It's going down like crazy. So, who's declaring war now? Our one and only JB, former vice president, who is in the office now. Biden again says U.S. would help Taiwan if China attacks. So, he held an interview, and it was with CBS 60 Minutes that aired on Sunday. I'm sure nobody watched it or nobody saw it because nobody cared. And this guy, let me read some of it. JB says U.S. will defend Taiwan if China stages an unprecedented attack on the island. His latest in a string of remarks over the past year that have been unusually explicit about America's intention in the face of growing pressure from Beijing. In an interview with CBS News show 60 Minutes that aired on Sunday, Biden was asked if U.S. forces would defend Taiwan, a self-ruled democracy that sits roughly 100 miles off the Chinese coast and is claimed by Beijing as part of China. Yes, if in fact there was an unprecedented attack, Biden replied, asked again, if unlike in Ukraine, U.S. forces would get involved in the event of a Chinese invasion, Biden replied, yes. On 3 previous occasions since mid-2021, Biden has made similar public comments suggesting that the U.S. would get involved in a conflict over Taiwan. Some observers say the remarks contradict a long-standing preference from U.S. administration for ambiguity on the issue of defending Taiwan as a way to deter both China and Taiwan from taking steps that could alter the status quo. Which means the White House says one thing, Biden says another. Biden has on numerous occasions have said U.S. will step in to back Taiwan. Then White House will come and he's like, no, that's not what he meant. He's just an idiot. He's senile. He doesn't know what he's talking about. His handler wasn't there at the time. So, this is exactly what we're going to say. We're not going to back Taiwan. We want democracy, diplomacy, whatever the hell, no. Biden doesn't know what he's talking about. This is what the White House says. Not literal terms, but when they come back and issue a correction or trying to clarify what this moron is saying, that's what it means. So but guys, if you haven't paid attention, this year it's region taking year, so it's up for grabs. Everybody wants to grab their previous territory. You don't believe me? Well, let's see. Turkey made a hint that, what if we took Greece? Russia invaded Ukraine. Azerbaijan again invaded Armenia. In the midst of things, China wants to take Taiwan. And Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan are in a war. This is from yesterday. Death toll rises to 81 in Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan border clashes, right? Tajikistan said that 35 of its citizens were killed in a last border clash with Kyrgyzstan, raising the overall death toll to at least 81 on its Facebook page. The Tajik foreign minister reported 35 people dead, including civilians, women, and children. A further 139 people had been wounded in the fighting on the southwest border, it says. The previous toll given to the ministry was 24 dead. Meanwhile, the number of deaths on Kyrgyz side rose to 46, making the worst flare-up between the two Central Asian countries in years. Kyrgyzstan said nearly 136,000 residents were also evacuated from villages near Tajikistan. Russia's President Vladimir Putin on Sunday called for no further escalation between Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan. In a phone call with the leaders of the Central Asian nations, Putin also urged them to take steps to resolve the situation as soon as possible by exclusively peaceful political and diplomatic means. Both former Soviet Union countries are now part of the Russian-led Collective Security Treaty Organization, CSTO, but they regularly have escalating tensions. On Friday, the two sides agreed to a ceasefire, but since then the fighting continued, with both sides accusing each other of breaching the agreement, which is very typical with war. Ceasefires usually last for like a few hours to like a day or a couple of days. After more clashes on Saturday, the night passes quietly without incidents, the Kyrgyz authorities said on Sunday morning. The country's leadership is taking all measures to stabilize the situation, prevent attempts of escalation in peaceful way. They added, on Sunday afternoon, the Kyrgyz authorities issued a statement saying the situation at the border remains calm, trending towards stabilization. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres called the leadership of both sides to engage in dialogue for a lasting ceasefire, said a spokesman. Border disputes have dug the further Soviet republics through their 3 decades of independence. Around half their 970-kilometer border is still to be demarcated. So, guys, it's the end of the world. World War III is about to start. Thanks to Biden. Thanks to Europe. I honestly think Russia would not have invaded Ukraine if Biden was not the president. That's my truth, honest opinion. Because as soon as Trump left office, as soon as a Democrat president came into the office, Europe and U.S. started pushing Ukraine to become a NATO member, and that has been the boiling point of Russia. He warned everybody, do not push Ukraine to become NATO. Do not push Ukraine to become NATO. I will not tolerate it. I will not tolerate it. So as much as this is costing Russia people, soldiers, money, deaths, it is costing Ukraine the same thing. Ukraine and Russia is fighting 30 countries. Russia is actually fighting NATO at this point. NATO is supporting Ukraine 100%. With weapons, money, I don't know what else, to be honest with you. They're probably giving them some fighters, but nothing has been said. But yeah. And you see here a report here, Russia's losing ground. Ukraine took back a kilometer or two, whatever, which is not much. Russia still has a good chunk of presence in Ukraine now. Final blow, I don't know if there's going to be a final blow. I hope it doesn't get to that level. I hope Ukraine, honestly, Ukraine will not back out, because Ukraine has the backing of 30 countries. That's it. This is another Syria. Guys. This is turning into another Syria where in a different situation, but there's just proxy war all over the place. It's going to be proxy war all over Ukraine. Ukraine's going to be demolished. It's going to turn into rubble, because what? Russia wanted to take over a region, and the whole presence behind it is, oh, if Russia takes Ukraine, then they're gonna then he's gonna go after other Soviet territories. Well, guess what? With Armenia getting attacked again, Armenia was a former Soviet territory. So was Azerbaijan. But Russia and Armenia, they're very close allies. Iran is also a good ally with Armenia. Iran and Turkey don't have a good relation. Turkey and Azerbaijan seem to be the same, but Iran needs Azerbaijan because of imports and exports, that strategic reasons. But if Russia ends up putting or creating a territory in Armenia, Iran will assist. Iran might also do the same thing. But I mean, you gotta realize Iran has presence almost everywhere. Ever since the revolution, ever since the unrest in the Middle East because of the invasion of Afghanistan, invasion of Iraq, Iran has been expanding its territory, not by border, but by influence. And same thing in Lebanon. Hezbollah has a huge presence in Lebanon. Lebanon, it's not the same anymore. So Iran uses its strategic way of expanding its territory, again, not by border, by influence. They created allies. They are allies with Syria. They are allies with Russia. They are allies with Armenia. They are allied with Pakistan. I don't know their situation with Afghanistan at this point, with Taliban being in power. I don't think they care about the Taliban. They are allied with India. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on. They still have. I mean, they have good relations with Germany. That should tell you something. They have a hub in Netherlands for their airline. So that should tell you something. So it's turning to become a very interesting situation. I'm curious to see what's going to happen till the end of the year. But there might be a big war breaking out, guys. I don't know. This does not look good. So with that, I'll leave it here. Leave your comments down below. Let me know what you think. Peace out.